Hello and welcome back to Talent 101. This time we want to take a quick look at cheap shot, not F3 slide 3 in left foot forward because that's called cheap shot snap kick. No, we're talking about the cheap shot in right foot forward, RFF forward 3. This is an instant mix-up kick just like down 3-4 at plus 14 on hit, F4 at plus 20G on hit, and plus 10 or 9 on block. RFF forward 3 follows suit with those two moves because it is plus 23 on hit and plus 12 on block. Truly a bad spot for the opponent and a really damn good spot for Hwoarang. So of course, let's review the frame data. RFF forward 3 or cheap shot is a 14 frame high kick in right foot forward that is plus 23 on hit and of course plus 12 on block, and Hwoarang will instantly go into Left Flamingo Stance for a quick 50-50, or you can keep it compact by just simply going for the mids, which don't necessarily give an advantage, but the opponent has to hold it. Most especially if you are greedy for damage or you want to get damage in LFS up forward 4. It going to Left Flamingo Stance means only one thing. You must press a button because anything that puts Hwoarang in Flamingo means he cannot block in this stance. So same thing, even if you have major frame advantage in your favor, if I don't press a button, the opposing Hwoarang can easily hit me out of stance, whether that be on hit or on block. Of course, the timing will vary. On hit, that took really long, and on block, it took a little bit, it was shorter, but you know, right? So you need to commit to a button. So generally speaking, what do you want to commit to if you don't want to go for big mix-ups? Well, I have 3 recommendations. Number 1, LFS back 4-3. So you go from Left Flamingo Stance to right foot forward at 0 on block. Or you use LFS down 4. Go back to right foot forward if it goes on hit for plus 4. And then if it gets blocked, well, it's not the end of the world at negative 12. And if you don't want to do the mid or the low, you can go for the high, most especially if the opponent's conditioned. And that way you have more frame advantage to work with, going back to left foot forward with LFS 1. And of course, if that LFS 1 hits, that's plus 7. So 0 on block safety to neutral, a plus 4 mix-up into right foot forward, and only a negative 12 punish, and LFS 1 frame advantage. The only thing I did not repeat is the fact that this move allows lows to actually not get low parried. So right here, you see that's a low parry, right? At plus 8. What happens if the opponent is plus or negative 23 and I throw out a 16 or 19 frame low, because LFS down 4 is around that frame, so it's 20 to 21. So if I'm going to hit RFF forward 3 and use my slowest low, the opponent can't low parry. So if you get this on hit and you're able to recognize it rather than just being on autopilot on block, right? Because if you're autopilot on block and you're like, oh yeah, I can't get low parry. Well, at plus 12, the opponent could still low parry. It's just like, oh, that's a slower low frontier. All right, let's use a faster low. No, they say they still can low parry. So you got to make sure you're not autopiloting it. So you recognize when the move does connect on hit and when the move doesn't connect on hit, but your lows can't be parried on hit. Another interesting detail about this move is that you can jail the opponent. They jail the opponent with a throw, because again, if the opponent's just standing there and you're not able to convert your mix-ups, why not just get some damage, most especially if they don't have a throw break? So you can do RFF forward 3 into LFS F+3, and the opponent can't duck that. You see how Hwoarang ducks right after the throw, but if we turn off standing block, so that's plus 12 on block, they're not allowed to duck. But they can low parry, interesting tidbit. But if they get on hit, they're negative 23, right? And if I go for the throw, it won't work. So it only works on block. So you either make sure you recognize for both on whether the down 3-4 cannot be low parried or LFS down 4, right? Or if you wanted to go for the throw. So if you're aiming for one of those two things, make sure to keep that in mind. So that's pretty much all of it. And the one thing this move does have, regardless of the frames, so if I put this on 0 on block, it will track towards sidestep right. If I put it at plus 2, still track towards sidestep right. If I put it at plus 5, still track towards sidestep right. We boost this up to sidewalk right, do the exact same frames. 0 on block, sidestep right. Plus 2 on block, sidestep right. Plus 5. As you can see, the one thing this move doesn't do though is track left. So if I do 0 on block, that misses. Plus 2 on block, whiffs. And plus 5, still whiffs. Even if I change this to force crouch, still whiffs. So move tracks completely towards the right, so if the opponent is stubborn enough to keep going towards the right against Hwoarang in right foot forward, then yeah, you get instant mix-up kicks all day, every day. But if they are stepping towards the left, which is Hwoarang's natural enemy, then it's going to be pretty tough to even be able to utilize RFF F+3. The last two things that are available for cheap shot is the fact that this move can still go back turn. So if you press RFF F+3 and hold back, he goes into back turn. Now, of course, the frames here aren't exactly the best. As you can see, -11. And if we turn this on hit, 0 on hit. But if you did want to get a back turn mix-up in neutral and then box step as well, you can do that. It is available to you. And it's very, very handy, most especially at the wall. So let's say, back 3, pop, pop. And then as they wake up, you can hit them with a plasma blade. Or you can hit them with the low. It's perfectly timed, especially with the throw, which would probably be the main reason why they wouldn't want to stand up versus that. So before, you were using CD3+4-3 in back turn, which was back turn RFF F+3, but it still has its purpose for the most part. But this move is pretty much punishable on block. So if we do tell Hwoarang to do it, right? I'm gonna get hit. I can't get out of that. Even if I try to turn around. So yeah, it's not exactly the best place in the world to be in if the opponent is mashing right after RFF F+3. But typically, your opponent would be conditioned because, well, they can't press a button to begin with. So it's a little handy thing to have to include more mix-ups upon a move that already has a guaranteed mix-up to begin with. And now the last thing about cheap shot is that it is combo versatile. What do I mean by that? Well, it's pretty much everywhere in this combo. I did that 3 times. So it's the perfect combo filler at the start, in the middle, and at the end. It's everywhere. Whether that be in open space, whether that be at the wall, etc. So it's just exactly like F4, where you do it at the start. Perhaps you even do it in the middle and closer to the end. And RFF F+3 is going to be everywhere because it is connected to LFS of F+3+4 or an LFS F+3, an LFS back 3, most especially for wall carry and damage. And you're always going to be using it everywhere from the start to the end, in combos and in specific string sequences, because it already has a guaranteed mix-up for the most part. So now your question is always how to transfer the plus frames from one place to another and being able to capitalize on the frame advantage that you are getting. So while you can use 3 options to remain compact, this is where swapping to another stance does look kind of safe after RFF F+3 because they need to hold there, and especially if you have speed active and you did RFF F+3, now you can introduce them to another 50-50 that came from a different stance. Just make sure you don't, get punished for it. But yeah, that's everything I know about cheap shot, RFF F+3. Again, not to be confused with F3 slide 3 and left foot forward. Again, that's cheap shot snap kick, cheap shot. I've been Frontier, and thank you for watching.